Mexico City with Erasure as an open act to David Bowie. How was that experience? I have that question for many years.
It was kind of interesting, you know. It was, I mean, it was, for us, it gave us the opportunity to play to some very large audiences, which we've never done before, in Mexico, in South America, and Central America. So for us, it was like we did it for exposure. As to playing with David Bowie, I mean, it was, you know, it's not like we met him or went out for a drink with him, you know. He had his own little entourage on that side. But it was good to, it was pretty amazing to play to that amount of people for us for the first time.
Yeah.
Now that we were talking about the projects that you were involved with and so many genres, so many places around, I think we'd like to know which of the projects you've been in and then has been the most enrichful, you know, the one where your creativity got to be freest and you were able to, you know, there was before and after that project.
I don't know. I mean, it's you know, I was talking to someone yesterday. It's like when you do a project or a recording or an album. For me, it's like you make the record, it's mixed, it's manufactured, and then I never listen to it again, ever. I mean, the only time I ever hear my old records is when I have to work on them for live, because it's all about the next project. You know, it's not. You never get to that point. You go, oh, that was the best I ever made. You know, that isn't that far. I think I'll just listen to that 10 times. That's really great. It's always about the next song. And that's what keeps it interesting. That's why, you know, I'm still doing it, I guess.
Good. But is there a project, a specific project where you can look back to and think like, that's a project where I really learned a lot about songwriting or creativity or sound designing or something?
I think, well, as far as sound design is concerned, probably the album chorus was I learned the most, just because it was, we set up some very, very specific rules. We limited ourselves. We said, you know, we just can't keep recording more and more stuff and hope that the song will get better. It was like, you know, we had rules about we couldn't play chords, we weren't using MIDI, we were just using sound and CD gate, you know, our old style sequences, and it really made us think about the sound design and the actual textures of the record. So that was a real learning process.
Interesting. Is there another question?
Yeah.
Of course there is.
So many.
All the questions. All the questions.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I don't know if you still do it when you weren't using MIDI. You could look to use CD gate and, you know, try to keep that sound as original as possible, as how you felt like it was supposed to be. And my question is more directed towards now with all the technology and digital access and the democratization of that technology. At the same time, it may turn into it may backfire on the artists because they may have just a little bit too much, right? And they may not value, you know, a sound, a particular sound because of the way it was made and how hard it was before or how difficult it was to come to that point.
I don't think it's much because it's so much learning from what was done before. I mean, the problem, I guess, is that there's too many choices now.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, if you buy a soft synthesizer, it invariably comes packed with 500 really, really well-programmed, interesting sounds. And then if you're working on Pro Tools or you're working with Logic, there's no end to the recording that you can do. You know, you're not stuck with 16 tracks and then you start bouncing tracks back and, you know, you can just carry on. So the art or the skill comes in making decisions. The last Erasure record that we worked with this guy called Frank Music, and his ethos, which was really interesting, was basically he recorded everything. So he could never go back. I mean, he still recorded 120 tracks, you know, for each song, but I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, it's it's good to set yourself some rules and some limitations, because otherwise you just get sidetracked, you know, and you end up with a mess, I think, you know. There's something to be said. I mean, you know, people say, oh, it's great, you know, that you listen back to old Rolling Stones records or old Beatles records because they were recorded on an 8-track or 4-track, you know. And you almost have to sort of impose those rules on yourself again, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you never stop. You know, you get anything finished.
Was there a question back there? Alguien había levantado la mano, pero si no, mientras aquí hay una pregunta segura.
Sorry, man, I don't want to be a pain in the ass, but I have so many questions. How do you see the opportunity of a musician to get known? I mean, in the back days, all about this, if you were a number one, and now it's about how many likes you have on Facebook or followers on Twitter. Is any future, or how can a musician can be taken seriously?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I mean, I've never really wanted to be taken seriously. You know, I mean, I love doing music, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. And to, you know, we have a very supportive record company, and I'm working with really interesting people. And that's it, really. I mean, you know, it's to be in that position is as far as being cool or you know. I mean, obviously it's nice, you know, to get likes and stuff. I mean, but it's actually making music. Going, you know what? That's pretty damn good, and I feel pretty good about that. I mean, I can't make music, or one can't make music for other people, for instance. And you can't do that. All you can do is make music that you think is quite good, and hopefully there'll be some other people out there that think it's good also.
Yeah, thank you.
El círculo de la pregunta que
I want to ask you, is there some electronic artist, maybe in experimental electronics or in pop electronic, that is your favorite right now? Do you hear experimental electronic? I don't know.
There's not any one particular artist. I mean, when I listen to people, which I do pretty much every day, and I'll just listen to bits of everything. And I'll download bits of everything, you know. Because there are so many people doing interesting things out there, I think. There's no particular one artist that I'm following right now.
One or two names? Maybe.
No.
No.
That's the name of the band? No. Okay. I think it was a question back there, no? So hand raising. I'd like to ask, you saw how the electronic music started in the world back in the 80s. You were part of it, right? And now, as we're all saying, every other genre has adopted things from electronic music. What do you think the reason is? Is it because of the sound? Is it because it's easy and affordable now? Is it because it's cool? Is it because we now realize it's good music and you can be very creative with it?
I don't know. I mean, I think last year, there was a time last year, I think, when someone told me that something like 90% of the charts in the UK, or the songs in the charts in the UK were electronic. There were no guitars in them, there were no drums in them. I think that people discover that, you know, it's such a huge palette of colours and sound, and they've only just kind of come to realise that. Okay? Not because it's easy, I don't think.
No, definitely not easier, especially when you don't go for the presets and the plugins, of course, when you're actually trying to create something. But it's been adopted by practically every other genre, right?
I guess, you know, I'm not a guitarist, but I guess, you know, if if I mess about with the stuff that I have in my studio, my own synthesizers, then I can make a sound that's never been heard before, and that for me is very interesting. I'm sure that's what makes it interesting for people to work for what they work with. I think.
You would come, of course you are. Is there any other question? We have time for one more question back there, sorry. And then we have to close.
When you're writing songs for Erasure, by any chance do you think this could be a nice Yazoo song?
No. I mean, people always say, oh, you must have some spare songs lying about, that you didn't record or didn't use. But with our record company, pretty much every time that Andy farts, we record that and it's released as an extra track on 12-inch. So.
Okay, unfortunately, we're short on time now. Just so we can finish, I was wondering if you could give our students some advice on how to focus on their creativity and developing their creativity, where they can use the new tools or even the old tools, like whatever they have now, to develop that creativity and make it on their own voice or their own way of expressing themselves.
Well, I think, like you said, these are all tools, and it's like, I guess if you're a painter and you've got a huge canvas and you've got lots of colours, those are the things that you have to know and learn about. But if you don't have a great idea or an idea or a vision of what you're going to paint, then it's pointless. I think writing songs. Which I'm going to talk about writing songs. It's all about having a great song or an interesting song or a good song to start with, and then you learn to use these tools to embellish it or to make it to bring it to life. But if the song isn't great in the first place, it doesn't matter what tools you use or how clever you are or how technically brilliant you are, it will always not be a very good song. So it's all about the idea.
Good. Well, I think I speak on behalf of everyone here. It's been really, really great having you here. We've learned a lot from your music, which we've grown with. And having you here, it's really enriching for all of us. I think we've learned a lot. I would like to really, really thank you for taking some time for being here. We hope you like the school. We hope you like the students. You met some of them. You met some of the staff. And please feel welcome to come back anytime. We'd love to have you just for a coffee or a master class or a workshop or recording, mixing, whatever. Let's do it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's go. Esperemos que les haya gustado. Para la otra traigan muchas preguntas bien listas, porque seguramente se quedaron ya varias ahí en el tintero, pero muchas gracias por venir. Estaremos pronto en contacto con ustedes para avisarles de más eventos que traeremos para la comunidad SAE. Muchas gracias y un aplauso otra vez para mí.